Hey, Kiroos.
To celebrate Book Lovers Day, we've invited someone who doesn't just love books, he writes them.
It's Mick Elliott.
Hey guys.
Hey, welcome to the couch. Thanks for coming in to tell us about being a writer.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Awesome.
Our pleasure. So, before we get into this, should we have a three-way high five into the graphic?
Yes.
Yes, you ready?
Cool.
And go!
Yeah.
When I grow up, I wanna be.
So, Mick, you've just published your first book, The
Yes.
Turners.
Yes.
What inspired you to begin writing, and how old were you when you started writing?
I have been writing for years, since I was a kid, but I probably didn't write enough when I was a kid, and I thought, as a grown-up, I wanted to write the book that I would have loved to read when I was 10 years old, and The Turners is that book.
Did you read much as a kid?
I did. I used to love, when I was very young, books like The Magical Faraway Tree. I was a big fan of Wind in the Willows, the Tintin books I really loved, so yes, I did.
Now, when creating a character, how do you begin that process? Do you look at facets of yourself or your friends or your family for inspiration?
Yeah, I think every writer with their main character has a little bit of themselves in there, because you put your main character into all sorts of terrible situations and you think, what would I do in that situation? So it's pretty standard that your own traits, a lot of your own personality does come out in your main character, which is definitely the case with Leo in The Turners.
Well, literally in the first 3 pages in the book, Leo becomes a Komodo dragon. Where did that idea come from?
Well, I really love the idea of taking a really ordinary situation like a school library, and that's where Leo is in the first chapter, and putting something totally extraordinary in it. And I thought, what could be more extraordinary than the main character literally shape-shifting into a Komodo dragon and starting to chase around all his classmates in the middle of the library.
Now, I want to know what goes into mapping out your entire story, because I know there's probably so many details. How do you make sure that you don't get any plot holes?
The real secret to writing is actually the rewriting. So you write the first version of it, you write the draft, and then you read it and you work out all the bits that don't make sense. You take all those bits out and you do it again and again. That polishing process really is how you get rid of the other plot holes along the way.
Sweet.
That is a lot of writing. It's not just the one go and then, oh, I'm done.
Done.
Mick, have you ever gotten the dreaded writer's block?
Yes. Well, it is the worst thing for a writer. It is terrible. So here's the secret, and this is like a writer's secret, so don't tell anyone this. No one's filming this, are they? So just can't let this get out.
No.
What you do is, if you're right-handed, you put your pen in your opposite hand, and then you write the answer. So if you're trying to work out what happens next, you write down what happens next with your right hand, and your pen in the other hand, and then you write the answer. And what happens is, using your other hand actually uses a different part of your brain, and you get the answer. It's really messy, but you get the answer.
I've never heard
Oh,
of
that's
that ever.
awesome. That's really cool.
It's part of the secret.
Don't tell anyone.
So for any of the hangers out there that are watching right now and they might want to be a writer when they grow up or even now, what advice could you give to them?
Well, 3 things. The first thing is you've got to read as much as you can. The second thing is to read your stories aloud. That's really, really important, because when you read them aloud, you actually get a sense of how they sound to other people reading them. And the third thing would basically just write a lot. Just write and write and write. Give your main character a big problem to solve. That's really important. They've got to have a big problem to solve, and that way readers will love what you write.
Great.
Mick, thank you so much. That was really exciting. I do want to know, what happens next with the Lennox family, though?
Well, this is the first book in a trilogy. So in the next book,
nice.
Leo actually goes off to camp. He goes to school camp, which is probably about the worst place that a kid who's a shapeshifter, who turns into an animal every single day, can go. But he goes there and terrible stuff happens. And then there's a 3rd book that comes out next year as well.
Ooh, sounds like you've got a fair bit of writing to do then.
Yes.
Mick, thank you so much for joining us on the couch. It's been an absolute pleasure.
It's been great being here. Thank you, guys.
Our pleasure. Bye!